For the first time in the entire 250-year history of the United States, your right to hold your own crypto in your own wallet, your own keys, no bank, no middleman, no permission from anyone on earth, is about to be carved into federal law. Think about that. Not a court ruling that gets appealed. Not some regulator's guidance that the next administration wipes away with a signature. Law. Permanent. Untouchable. The kind of thing your grandkids will still be protected by. And here's what floored me. That's not even the biggest one on my list. Because right now, the whole world is screaming about the scoreboard. 7 Democrats, 60 votes. Will it pass? Will it die? Everyone's watching the game, and nobody is reading the rule book. So I sat down and read the entire thing, all 616 pages, so you don't have to. And what I found genuinely stopped me. You have already won 5 things you don't even know you won. 5 rights, 5 protections, already written into the text, sitting on the Senate floor at this very moment. Win, lose, or draw on the vote. So forget the scoreboard for the next 14 minutes. I'm counting them down, 5 to 1. And number one is the single most important word XRP has been waiting years to hear. Do not click away before we get there. Let's dig in. Real quick, from me to you, I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice. Today's a little different. It's less about politics and more about what's actually in this bill and what it means for you. I'll keep it honest the whole way. Never risk what you can't afford to lose, and always do your own research. Cool? All right, let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Crypto with BHW, where we tell it to you straight, with heart. Grab your coffee, get comfy, because everyone's arguing about whether this bill passes, and almost nobody's told you what you actually get if it does. Today, we fix that. Let's go. All right, before we start the countdown, let me explain why I'm doing this video completely differently from everyone else. Every channel right now is fixated on the same question. Does it pass? 7 Democrats, 60 votes, the deadline, the drama. And look, that matters, and we'll touch it at the end. But here's the thing nobody's saying. Obsessing over the vote is like standing outside a house arguing about whether the door will open, while never once asking what's inside the house. So today, we walk inside. Because the Clarity Act isn't just some crypto bill. It's 616 pages of specific, concrete rights and protections, and most of them were quietly agreed on months ago across both parties. They're not up for debate anymore. They're essentially locked. The only thing still being argued over is one narrow enforcement clause, which we'll get to. So the 5 things I'm about to count down, these aren't hopes. These aren't predictions. These are written, negotiated, bipartisan protections sitting in the text right now. And by the time we hit number 1, you're going to understand why this document might be the single most important thing to happen to XRP since the day it was created. Let's start the countdown. Number 5. And number 5 is the one that protects something you probably never even think about, until it's the reason your favorite project packs up and leaves the country. Here we go. Number 5, developer protection. Buried in this bill is language often called the Blockchain Regulatory Certainty Act. And what it does is deceptively simple but enormous. It says that a person who writes open source blockchain code, or runs a wallet, or operates a validator, is not automatically treated as a money transmitter. They don't have to hold a money transmitter license just for writing software. Now, why should you, an XRP holder, care about some coder's legal status? Let me make it real. For years, the biggest threat to American crypto wasn't the price. It was talent leaving. Brilliant developers were looking at the US and saying, I could build here, or I could go somewhere I won't get sued for publishing code. So they left. They took their projects, their innovation, their jobs, to Switzerland, to Singapore, to Dubai. This provision slams the brakes on that. It tells developers, build here, you're protected. And here's the direct line to XRP. The XRP Ledger is an open, developer-driven ecosystem. Every new app, every new tool, every new use case built on XRPL needs developers who feel safe building in the world's biggest economy. Protect the builders, and you protect the future of everything built on the ledger. That's number 5. Foundational, and almost nobody's talking about it. Number 4 is the one that hits different, because if you were around in 2022, you already lived through the nightmare it prevents, and you never want to feel that again. Number 4, and this one, I need you to really feel, because it fixes one of the cruelest lessons this industry ever taught. Think back to FTX in 2022. Millions of people had crypto sitting on that exchange, and when it collapsed, they learned something horrifying that nobody had warned them about. Legally, those coins were never really theirs. Once the bankruptcy hit, their crypto got swept into the bankruptcy estate, lumped in with everything the company owned, and customers became just another line of creditors, standing in line, hoping to get pennies back. Your money, treated as the failed company's asset. The Clarity Act writes protection for this directly into the text. It requires that customer assets be properly segregated, kept separate, so that if a platform goes under, your holdings are recognized as yours, not part of the wreckage to be divided up. Let me say that plainly. This provision is designed to make the FTX nightmare illegal. And for XRP holders specifically, this is massive for one reason: trust. The single biggest thing keeping cautious, everyday money and big institutions on the sidelines is the fear of, what if the platform blows up and I lose everything? When the law guarantees your assets stay yours even in a collapse, that fear shrinks dramatically. And when fear shrinks, participation grows. More people comfortable holding, more institutions comfortable entering. That's number 4, and it's personal for anyone who lived through the last cycle. Number 3 is the one that goes to the absolute heart of what crypto was invented for. And believe it or not, it has never once been guaranteed in American law. Until now. Number 3, your right to hold your own coins. This is the not your keys, not your crypto principle, except now it's not just a slogan on crypto Twitter. This bill affirms your right to self-custody, to hold your own digital assets in your own wallet, control your own private keys, and transact peer-to-peer, without being forced to route everything through a bank or a licensed custodian. And here's the part that genuinely surprised me when I dug in. This has never been explicitly protected in US federal law before. Ever. The whole foundational promise of crypto, be your own bank, has technically been living on borrowed time, one hostile regulation away from being squeezed. This bill writes it down, makes it real, makes it defensible. Quick one before we keep counting. Did you know your right to self-custody your crypto has never actually been written into US federal law until this bill? Type yes or no in the comments. I really want to see who knew that. Why does this matter for XRP? Because self-custody is freedom, and freedom is what makes this whole asset class different from the old system. If you want to move your XRP into your own wallet, hold it for 10 years, send it to a friend across the world at 3 a.m. on a Sunday. This protects your right to do exactly that. No permission slip required. It keeps XRP a truly open, borderless asset, instead of something locked behind gatekeepers. Number 3, the soul of crypto, finally written into law. Number 2 is where this stops being about principles and starts being about a very specific piece of Ripple's business that runs directly on the XRP Ledger. Watch how this one connects. Number 2, the stablecoin framework, and this one connects straight to XRP's ecosystem. Here's the background. There was a fight in this bill over stablecoin yield. Basically, whether and how crypto platforms could offer interest-like rewards. The banks pushed hard against it. They worried it would pull deposits out of the banking system. And there was even a proposed circuit breaker mechanism that could have throttled stablecoin growth under certain conditions. 2 senators, Angela Alsobrooks and Tom Tillis, one Democrat, one Republican, negotiated a compromise, banning bank deposit-style yield while preserving activity-based rewards, a workable middle path. And reporting indicates the most restrictive throttling language got stripped out. So why does this matter for XRP? One word: RLUSD. Ripple's own regulated stablecoin runs on the XRP Ledger. And a clear, workable stablecoin framework, one that doesn't choke growth with a circuit breaker, means RLUSD has room to expand across the financial system. And remember what we covered last time. Every RLUSD transaction that settles on the XRP ledger is activity on XRP's network, using XRP's rails. So a healthy stablecoin framework isn't separate from XRP. It's rocket fuel for the ledger XRP powers. Number 2, the quiet one that hits closest to home. And that brings us to number 1, the big one. The one this entire bill was really built to answer. And the one XRP, more than any other asset on Earth, has been waiting years to hear. Let's finish this. Number 1, here it is. The single most important thing in all 616 pages. And it matters more to XRP than to almost any other coin in existence. For years, one question has hung over XRP like a storm cloud that wouldn't move. Is it a security or is it a commodity? That one unanswered question is the reason Ripple got dragged through years of court. It's why exchanges got nervous and delisted. It's why giant institutions stayed on the sidelines. Because we don't know what this thing legally is a deal breaker for serious money. The Clarity Act's entire core purpose is to answer that question. It draws the line, establishing which digital assets are treated as commodities under the CFTC and which fall under the SEC. It builds a real framework for classification. And for XRP, which has fought this exact battle longer and harder than almost anyone, that clarity is everything. Now here's the piece that makes it number 1 instead of just important. Earlier this year, the SEC and CFTC did issue some joint guidance sorting assets into categories. Helpful, but here's the fatal flaw almost nobody mentions. Guidance can be erased overnight by any future administration. It's a sandcastle. One new chairman, one change in the political winds, and it's gone. A law is different. A law is concrete. It survives elections. It survives administrations. It gives XRP something it has never once had in its entire existence. Permanent, durable, can't be deleted, legal certainty. That's the difference between building your house on sand and building it on bedrock. That's number 1. That's the prize. And that's why this document, whether it passes this month or next, has already reshaped XRP's entire future. Because the fight is no longer if crypto gets rules. That's over. It's just when. So, I promised I wouldn't ignore the vote entirely. Let me give you the honest 60-second version so you know exactly where things stand and what to watch. No spin. All right, here's the honest, no hype status, quick and clean. The bill's text is out. Almost everything is agreed on. The one thing still being fought over is narrow. Who enforces the ethics rule? Democrats want state attorneys general to be able to step in if the Justice Department doesn't act. Republicans and the White House want enforcement kept solely with the DOJ to avoid a patchwork of 50 state interpretations. That's the snag. One clause. And here's the genuinely hopeful part, because it's real. Senator Ruben Gallego called the current ethics deal not a serious effort, but he did not walk away. Right now, he's working with Republican Senator Thom Tillis to draft a counterproposal. Read that again. A Democrat and a Republican actively writing a compromise together this week. That is not the sound of a bill dying. That's the sound of a bill being negotiated down to the wire. The honest odds sit near a coin flip, around 47% by one estimate. And even if the Senate passes it, the House still has to agree on the final text. So it's not a done deal, and anyone who tells you it is guessing. So what do you watch? 3 names, 3 signals. Tillis, is the ethics language getting stronger? Gallego, does that counterproposal turn into a yes? And Thune, does he schedule the floor vote? Those 3 are your dominoes. Everything else is noise. But zoom out and hold on to what we just walked through. 5 rights, already written, already won on paper. Developer protection, bankruptcy protection, self-custody, a stablecoin framework, and legal clarity. Whether the final gavel comes down this month or later, that's the foundation now, and it's built for XRP. Zoom out one last time. A couple years ago, XRP was fighting for its life in a courtroom, and people wondered if it would survive. Today, there are 616 pages on the Senate floor written to protect everything it stands for. That arc only points one direction over the long run. The pain doesn't last forever. It never does. So here's where I'll leave you, fam. 5 things you already won, and one word: clarity, that changes everything. Whatever happens with the vote, green or red, the foundation is being poured, and it's being poured under XRP. We walk through all of it together, clear eyes, steady hands, because that's what we do here. If this showed you something the headlines missed, do me a favor, drop your honest thoughts below. Which of the 5 surprised you most? I read every single comment. This has been Crypto with BHW, where we tell it straight, with heart. Stay ready, stay hopeful, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.